Hey, what's good? Oh, it's your boy. It's your partner. You know what I mean? We got another live going on today. Going on tonight, pretty late. It's about 2:04, 2:06, and I'm gonna wait till, I get maybe one or two people in here. Yeah. I hope everybody's having a good, having a good weekend. Hope everybody's weekend was pretty good. Hope everything, was copacetic, positive. If it wasn't positive, I hope that you responded the best way you could. And, have your life full of abundance, prosperity, and gaiety, and, to live and, work towards your purpose. Yeah. But all right, we're going to get started here in about 30 seconds. Yes, sir. Make sure I got everything ready. All right. And here we go. All right, so today we will be talking about the book, The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements. And basically, this book is a practical guide to personal freedom. It's a Toltec wisdom book, and it is by Don Miguel Ruiz. Now, reading the back of it, personal growth / self-help. Over a decade on the New York Times bestseller list. In The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz reveals a source of self-limiting beliefs that robs us of joy and creates needless suffering. Based on ancient Toltec wisdom, the Four Agreements offer a powerful code of conduct that can rapidly transform our lives to a new experience of freedom, true happiness, and love. And this is the author right here. And personally, man, it's just it's a book about agreements to make upon yourself to guide yourself out of life, and it's to give an overview of the circumstances that we're living in and what we're faced up against, and to basically give you a strategy in order to transcend out of these circumstances, in order to live in a more heavenly state. All right. So throughout this live, we're going to be going through the book, referring to the book, and I'm going to be breaking down the Four Agreements. Now, the Four Agreements are: 1, be impeccable with your word. 2, don't take anything personally. 3, don't make assumptions. And 4, do your best. All right. So let's get started. Alright, so thousands of years ago, the Toltec were known throughout southern Mexico as women and men of knowledge. They formed a society of students and masters, aka the Nogals. The Nogals were forced to conceal the ancestral wisdom and maintain its existence in obscurity. So, the Nogals were shielding this knowledge from those who were not prepared to use it wisely and who might intentionally misuse it for personal gain. Today, the author Don Miguel Ruiz, a Nogal from the Eagle Knight lineage, has been guided to share with us the powerful teachings of the Toltec. Toltec knowledge arises from the same essential unity of truth as all the sacred esoteric traditions found around the world. Alright. So now we're going to talk about Chapter 1, Domestic and the Dream of the Planet. Domestication and the Dream of the Planet. So what you are seeing and hearing right now is nothing but a dream. So dreaming is the main function of the mind. Right now, what we're all experiencing right now is a dream. this life that we're living, this day-to-day life, the years that we've been living, the circumstances that we've always been in, this is nothing but a dream. So with that being said, whenever you transcend into the next realm of reality, that'll be a dream. That'll be a dream until you reach the source, aka until you reach the egg, aka until you reach heaven. And that is what's real. See, you understand that our bodies are nothing mere but a vehicle to operate in and to move in. So within our bodies is us. And you are nothing but light. You are nothing but a soul. You are nothing but spirit. And spirit is no thing. So when the brain is awake, there is a material frame that makes us perceive things in a linear way. When we go to sleep, we do not have that frame. And the dream has a tendency to change constantly. Before we were born humans, before we were born, the humans before us created a big outside dream that we will call society dreams or the dream of the planet. The dream of the planet is the collective dream of billions of smaller personal dreams, which together create a dream of a family, a dream of a community, a dream of a city, a dream of a country, and finally a dream of the whole humanity. The dream of the planet includes all of society's rules, its belief, its laws, its religions, its different cultures and ways to be, its government, school, social events, and holidays. So basically, the realm of reality that we're experiencing right now is all the collective of what we believe. So we believe that, planet Earth is compromised of matter, material, this desk right here. The fact that we all believe that this is real showcases or, provides the external reference that it is real. So with that being said, I know you would think that, okay, well, of course, it's real because granted, it's right here. You can feel it, you can taste it, all your five senses are in reacting to what we perceive to be real. And the thing is this is that whenever we were born, we were subjugated to domestication. So as soon as you were born, you were told and you were programmed to say like, okay, this wall right here, 4 walls, this is real. Touch, hear, see, feel, and sense. All your 5 senses are activated and they are attributed to matter, attributed to what you see in front of you, attributed to the reality that you see. Now granted, as a collective, if we all believe that, okay, water isn't real or something isn't what it's supposed to be, then our collective dream, our collective imaginations would then have an external reference reflecting what we feel and what we believe. Now, that's very hard to do just because of the domestication that we've been having is so embedded in us, and this is generations after generations after generations. So, attention is the ability we have to discriminate and to focus only on that which we want to perceive. The adults around us hooked our attention and put our information into our minds through repetition. That is the way we learned everything we know. All right. As children, we didn't have the opportunity to choose our beliefs, but we agree with the information that was passed to us from the dream of the planet via other humans. The only way to store information is by agreement. So in order for us to believe what we believe, we have to agree to it. So if I tell you that, and this goes as far as religion too, if I tell you that Jesus died on the cross for your sins, you know what I mean? You would have to agree in order to believe that. If I told you that Lucifer is the devil and he wants pain and turmoil for your soul, you would have to agree in order to believe that. Vice versa, if I told you that Lucifer died on the cross for your sins, you would have to agree in order to believe that. And I say that Jesus Christ wants pain, turmoil, and everything negative for your soul, you would have to agree in order to believe that. So agreement is our personal powers, and whenever we start agreeing to things that is of external reference to us, then we start to depict that in our external references. So as soon as we agree, we believe it, and this is called faith. To have faith is to believe unconditionally. All right. Page 10. All right. Whatever goes against the book of law will make you feel a funny sensation in your solar plexus, and it is called fear. So the book of law is basically what they tell us that, society, in order to move throughout society, in order to, not be considered as the outcast, we have these laws, we have these indoctrinations. We say that, you can't speak too loud, you know what I mean? You can't, you gotta wear all your clothes, you feel me? You gotta, you can't present yourself being naked. For a long period of time, society told women that you can't show your shoulders. And then they had to fight for the rights to show shoulders, to have a little bit of cleavage. A lot of walks right now and a lot of issues right now are about, sexism and about who can do this and why they can do that. And basically it's all these laws and all these programs and all these algorithms to tell you that in order to move throughout society, you must conduct yourself this type of way. So whenever you go against that book of law, you have a feeling or a sensation, and that sensation is called fear. And fear is just basically breaking out the norm. Fear is just basically breaking out of routine and doing what you feel is best for yourself as an individual. Moving on. The judge decrees and the victim suffers the guilt and punishment. But who says there is justice in this dream? True justice is paying only once for each mistake. True injustice is paying more than once for each mistake. The human is the only animal on earth that pays 1,000 times for the same mistake. So whenever we over here have a feeling or we have a mistake that we do, everybody would tell us, say, you know what, man, you should feel ashamed. You should be feeling guilty. And the humans are the only animal, because Homo sapien is just Homo sapien is just a human. And basically, animals, we all have, different derogatory names for animals as far as the science community goes. But basically, we're the only species that pays for the same mistakes 1,000 times over, and that's through guilt and that's through shame. So that's like saying that, you could have been an addict back in the day, and every single time you go to your family reunion, your family reminds you of your past, failures and your past transgressions. You could have been anything that was unfavorable to your external reference, and society always reminds you that you're this, you're that. That's just like, when Michael Jackson was caught allegedly messing with little children, even though his catalog and his career was immaculate, they always reminded him, they always reminded the family, and they always still remind us to this day through biopics and through documentaries. They're saying that Michael Jackson, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. Never forget, never forget, never forget. And that's one thing that the human race always does. We pay 1,000 times more more for the same mistake. For the first very singular mistake that we do, you pay 1,000 times over. And that right there is a hellish state of being. So, moving on. Where we at right now? 16. So, your whole mind is a fog, which the Toltecs call a mito. Your mind is a dream where 1,000 people talk at the same time and nobody understands each other. So, with that being said, the Toltecs will call the fog in your mind a mito, and the mito is attributed to not knowing who yourself is. So, whenever you have an inclination of who you really are, they have a saying that whenever the spirit tells you to move, the mind creates an excuse for it. Whenever your spirit tells you that this is the right path for you, your mind always creates an excuse for it. So that's like stepping out of your comfort zone And if you don't step out of your comfort zone, your mind already has an excuse why not to step out of your comfort zone. You're going to be ridiculed. You're going to be shamed. You're going to be castrated. You're going to be marginalized. And all these thoughts are going to hold you back and hinder you from your true potential and from your true purpose. If you keep allowing those thoughts to fester, and if you keep allowing to pick those thoughts and allowing those thoughts to seed within you, because you got to understand your mind is a fertile ground, and all the seeds that you embed in your mind will grow into your fruits of your labor. But the thing is that once you develop more self-love about yourself, more abundance about yourself, then you can pick and choose what seeds you want to embed and you want to plant and grow. So we cannot see who we truly are. We cannot see that we are not free. This is why humans resist life. To be alive is the biggest fear humans have. Death is not the biggest fear we have. Our biggest fear is taking the risk to be alive. The risk to be alive and express what we really are. What we got? 16, 17, 20. All right. So self-abuse. So just recently we just talked about self-love, and this is going into self-abuse. Self-abuse comes from the self-rejection, and self-rejection comes from having an image of what it means to be perfect and never measuring up to that ideal. So whenever we always have this image in our mind, the image in our, social media doesn't help with this. We see everybody in their lifestyle. We're like, you know what? They're living perfect. Everybody's loving them, their families congratulating them, and we try to compare ourselves, or subconsciously end up comparing ourselves or comparing our lives to their lives. And whenever you don't measure up to that, whenever you don't have the same resources, whenever you don't have the same, accolades, whenever you don't have, whenever you don't have the same, type of things, then you fall short within yourself and you feel shame and guilt. So whenever you start to feel shame and guilt, you start to go to something that's similar to how you feel. So that may be pouring your sorrows into a bottle, pouring your pain into a bottle. And the thing is, as black men, or just as men in general, no one ever taught us how to deal with our emotions. No one taught us how to deal with grief. No one taught us how to deal with sorrow. No one taught us how to deal with pain. What's up, babe? How you doing? I hope you're doing all right out here, man. And be careful at the beach. I know you at the beach and everything. So, yeah. But no one ever taught us how to be, how to deal with sorrow, grief, pain, turmoil, any of those emotions. So a lot of us resort to maybe, smoking, maybe drinking, maybe, being promiscuous, anything to just kind of eradicate that feeling and feel something different instead of just facing it head on. Now, on this channel or on my lives, I always promote, I say, shame and guilt is of the lowest vibration. If no one ever told you, if no one ever tells you, then we're going to keep on doing the same thing that we always done. So I always promote and I always advocate to keep yourself at a neutrality level. What's good, Miles? And at a neutrality level, arbitrated to the Hawkins scales. The Hawkins scales is a scale where you have emotional vibrations. So shame and guilt is at the lowest. Neutrality is in the middle, and enlightenment is at the highest. If you could always put yourself in the middle at neutrality, then with that being said, you could just take everything with a grain of salt. You could take constructive criticism with a grain of salt. But we'll dive more into that going forward. So, there are thousands of agreements you have made with yourself, with other people, with your dream of life, with God, with society, with your parents, with your spouse, and with your children. In these agreements, you tell yourself who you are, what you feel, what you believe, and how to behave. The agreements that come from fear require us to expend a lot of energy, but the agreements that come from love help us to conserve energy and even gain extra energy. Each time you break an agreement, all the power you use to create it returns to you. If you adopt these 4 new agreements, they will create enough personal power for you to change the entire system of your old agreements. All right, so we'll get into the first agreement. The first agreement is be impeccable with your word. So, be impeccable with your word. Your word is the power that you have to create. Your word is the gift that comes directly from God. In the gospel, the Gospel of John in the Bible, speaking of the creation of the universe, says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word is God." Through the Word, you express your creative power. It is through the Word that you manifest everything. Regardless of what language you speak, your intent manifests through the Word. What you dream, what you feel, what you really are, and will all be manifested through the Word. So the Word is just not a written system. The Word is not just, a sound. The Word is your force. So whenever you want to manifest, or whenever you want anything to come into fruition, we have the ability to use our words. See, the thing is that we're the only animal that endures the same consequence 1,000 times over for the one mistake. As well, we're the only animal that can verbally communicate to one another. That is our power. That is our gift, is our words. So whenever you speak words, whenever you have words within you and you utilize that, you could speak life into somebody. You could change the situation from somebody. Somebody may have been going through something for 20 years, 19 years, 33 years, 50 years, and granted, you having a conversation with them could take them out that rut, could take them out that space. You having a conversation, you providing them with new insight could take them out of, pain, hardships, and turmoil. And excuse me, guys, I don't know what's going on. I gotta... Hope I ain't coming down with something. The word is a force. The word is the most powerful tool you have as a human. It is a tool of magic. But like a sword with two edges, your word can create the most beautiful dream, or your word can destroy everything around you. So the thing is that you can speak life into somebody, but as well you can speak death into somebody too as well. Now, death is transformation. So instead of speaking death into somebody, you can put poison in somebody. Now, granted, that's talking about people, that's, gossiping about somebody, that's, just, kind of being, negative about somebody. But as well, if you see somebody down, we're always encouraged to pick somebody up. A lot of us feel that we're God's just, like we're his justice. So if you do me wrong, I'm going to over here make you feel it 10 times worse. Now, with that being said, you got to understand everybody's an individual, and not everyone is going to take the same path you take. Not everyone is going to respond the same way you would like them or wish for them to respond. So you take that all in stride. But you have to understand, your word is very powerful. You are worthy just as well as I am. We are both the same entity. We just have different characteristics about ourselves, and the way we express ourselves is different. But you and I, we have the same power. You and I, we have the same force that we can use in order to spread love, or we can spread pain. But, it's all depending on how you feel and what your intentions are. $31. All right. Now let us see what the word impeccability means. Impeccability means without sin. Impeccable from the Latin pectus, which means sin. The M in impeccable means without, so impeccable means without sin. A sin is anything that you do which goes against yourself. When you are impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself. Sin begins with rejection of yourself. Self-rejection is the biggest sin that you can commit. So, when you're impeccable with your word, that means that you're taking full responsibility over everything that you say, meaning that you're taking full responsibility over your life, your health, and your strength. Now, the biggest sin to do is to reject yourself. To say that I'm not worthy. To say that I'm not worth it. To not have any value about yourself is the biggest sin to you. Because you got to understand, you are made in God's image. The war is already won. Your path has already been made. Your footsteps are already been ordained. So with that being said, when you reject yourself, you're telling the universe that I'm not, you know what, I don't believe what you put in my, in my plate. I don't think that, I'm up to par. And we understand, we're not naive, that, life has a way of making us feel these ways and making us feel down and making us feel out. But you got to understand that you are worth it. You have to understand, you have to believe in yourself that you are it. And you can do whatever you do, put your mind to, whatever you put your faith in, you can achieve it. With the right strategy, with the action provided, and with your right intentions in place, anything could be possible. But it all starts with you. So self-rejection is the biggest sin that you can commit. Being impeccable with your word is not using the word against yourself. All right? So we are at 32. All right, so there was a story, right? And this is an example of black magic. There was a story in here about mom. She's coming home late from work, and she's very tired. She's kind of a little agitated. And as soon as she goes in, her daughter is, on the bed jumping. She's singing. The daughter has no idea that the mom is, very agitated, kind of tired and everything. So out of frustration, the mom tells the girl, yells at the girl, says, "Quiet down, girl. You can't sing. Your singing is ugly." So with that being said, the girl never sang again. Whenever she went to school and the teacher would ask her to come into front of the class, they said she always responded no. When she was asked to perform or in order to have a speech in front of the class, she always responded no. Just because the one person that meant the world to her mother, said that she could not sing. Now, you gotta understand, we gotta forgive these people that may have talked down on us in the past because they didn't understand that their word held power, as much power as it did. And we were young, and when you're young, you're more malleable. So with all my parents out there, be mindful of how you speak to your children. I understand that, we get frustrated, and I understand that we're human, but be mindful because your child may take that and run with it for the rest of their life. And only you can break that curse at the end of the day, or the strength within them can break it. So, with that being said, this is an example of black magic. Now, people who love us do black magic on us, but they don't know what they do. This is why we must forgive them. They don't know what they do. Looking at everyday human interaction, imagine how many times we cast spells on each other with our word. Over time, this interaction has become the worst form of black magic, and we call it gossip. Gossip is black magic at its very worst because it is pure poison. So, if I got a friend and, he may have upset me, and I'm expressing this to my other friend that has yet to meet my friend that has upset me, my other friend is going to look at that friend already looking for those attributes, already looking for that type of cadence that I've expressed to him, saying that, he's this and that and therefore. So what I'm doing is I'm already tarnishing his name. I'm already tarnishing, his intent, and I'm already tarnishing him as an individual. And what I'm doing is putting poison on his name. Now, granted, if my friend is strong enough and he expresses himself the way that he, the positive way that he is, then all the poison is going to reflect back on me. It's going to show that I'm a spirit that's, jealous, that I'm a spirit that's envious, that I'm a spirit of hate. And I have that, spirit attached to my spirit, because you got to remember, your spirit is no thing. So you can attach spirits to your spirit, but that doesn't mean that you are a spirit of hate or you are a spirit of jealousy. You can always have an attachment to your spirit. And that would just fall back on me at the end of the day. The only person I will hurt is myself. All right. 43. Impeccability of the word will also give you immunity from anyone putting a negative spell on you. You can measure the impeccability of your word by your level of self-love. So, in order to be immune to any poison that somebody can give to you, you can always measure that by how well your self-love is to you. So if you take care of yourself, if you don't harm yourself, if you honor your body, if you honor your spirit, then that shows that, granted, nothing can infiltrate you. It'll be way harder to infiltrate you through the poison of other people's words because you have a knowing of thyself. In order to study thyself to show approval. I know thyself. All right. This has been the overview for the first agreement. We're moving on to the second agreement. The second agreement, don't take anything personally. All right. Personal importance of taking things personally is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me. Nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves. Even when a situation seems so personal, even if others insult you directly, it has nothing to do with you. Taking things personally makes you easy prey for these predators, the black magicians. They hook you easily with one little opinion and feed you whatever poison they want. And because you take it personally, you eat it up. So whenever you take things personally, it can understand that whenever somebody expresses, love or hate towards you, that's just a reference of themselves. That's just how their external references is coming off. Now, with that being said, is you take everything with a grain of salt. So, as well as you could have a compliment, and you might like compliments, don't take compliments personally. Because if you take a compliment, then you got to take criticism. If you take criticism, then you got to take the compliments. So in order to keep yourself at a zero frequency, in order to keep yourself abundant, don't take either. If anything, take it with a grain of salt. But once you begin to internalize that, say, oh, everybody in my family says I'm this, everybody says I'm that, you know what I mean? Then, granted, the one person that tells you that you're not, they'll have more power over you than all of your people in your family. And that's something that we talked about before, overvaluing positivity. Good vibes only, positive vibes only, positive vibes only. That is a great hashtag and a great way mentality. But you have to understand that the world is not like that. Reality is not like that. And if you move with that type of rhetoric, you'll be naive to the people that have a snare for you in the bush, that have hate or that have something in the arsenal to take you off your guard. And once they shoot you with that or express that to you, it throws you off your whole position. It throws you off your whole path. You're more so trying to tell those people you are a positive person rather than being a positive person and being steadfast and going forward. Where we at? Page 50. Immunity to poison in the middle of hell is a gift to this agreement. 52. Your point of view is something personal to you. It is no one's truth but yours. Then if you get mad at me, I know you are dealing with yourself. I am the excuse for you to get mad. And you get mad because you are afraid, because you are dealing with fear. If you are not afraid, there is no way you will get mad at me. If you are not afraid, there is no way you will hate me. If you are not afraid, there is no way you would be jealous or sad. 52, 54. The mind has the ability to talk to itself, but it also has the ability to hear information that is available from other realms. Our mind also exists in the levels of the gods. Our mind also lives in that reality and can perceive that reality. So the thing is that whenever you question yourself within your mind has the ability to answer your own question, right? So you may say that, oh, if you don't love yourself, you'll be like, am I dumb or am I stupid? And then you'll think of external references where you may have had a shortcoming, and then you'll see that, oh, you'll agree with yourself and be like, well, I am this and I am that, I am dumb, I am stupid. So your mind has the ability to talk to itself. But your mind also has the ability to hear information from other realms and other perceptions. So if you have, in my first video, I said you are not your thoughts. And certain planetary influences may give us influence to make us feel that, okay, maybe I'm not applicable. Okay, maybe, my integrity, is low. Or maybe I am applicable. Maybe I am worth it. You know what I mean? So certain planetary influences may give us thoughts and perceptions that are not of our original DNA and not of our original thoughts. And we have the ability to pick and choose. So if you take all those thoughts for face value, then you have a clutter of thoughts and you don't know what to believe. And we talked about that. We talked about that before. That is called the mito, the brain fog, the fog in your mind. And this goes to the suffering. So don't take anything personally, because by taking things personally, you set yourself up to suffer for nothing. Humans are addicted to suffering at different levels and to different degrees, and we support each other in maintaining these addictions. Humans agree to help each other suffer. If you have the need to be abused, you will find it easy to be abused by others. Do not expect people to tell you the truth, because they also lie to themselves. You have to trust yourself and choose to believe or not to believe what someone says to you. If others say one thing but do another, you are lying to yourself if you do not listen to their actions. When you make it a strong habit not to take anything personally, you avoid many upsets in your life. Your anger, jealousy, and envy will disappear. And even your sadness will simply disappear if you don't take things personally. If you can make the second agreement a habit, you will find that nothing can put you back into hell. Don't take anything personally. All right, moving on. We are halfway through. The third agreement: don't make assumptions. A problem with making assumptions is that we believe that they are the truth. All of the sadness and the drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. We create a lot of emotional poison just by making assumptions and taking it personally, because usually we start gossiping about our assumptions. Remember, gossiping is the way we communicate to each other in the dream of hell and transfer poison to one another. Now, this goes into assumptions in a relationship. So I remember, personally in my life, I'm a Leo, right? But my moon sign is in Aquarius. And to every Leo, the opposite is in Aquarius. So with that being said, I have two conflicting energies. I have the opposition energy within me. So my lifestyle is all about being balanced. My path is all about finding balance. So with that being said, I have a tendency to go off the deep end. I have a tendency to say this is how something will be forever, you know what I mean? And not taking it day by day. If I don't, cater to my lifestyle, if I don't cater to myself, if I don't, have a routine or have any type of stability. So with that being said, in relationships, like myself and many of us, we can make assumptions. So I can meet somebody for the first time and I don't know that 3 weeks ago could have been the worst 3 weeks of their life. And I met them at a bad time and I make the assumption that, okay, this relationship will not work. But 2 days after that, I figured that, in passing, they were everything that I was looking for. Vice versa. I could meet somebody that was at the peak in their life. And I'm thinking that, granted, like, this is somebody I could be with for the rest of my life. And 2 days in the passing, I find that this was, one of the relationships that, could hinder me and I didn't need to involve myself with. But the thing is that, never make assumptions. You know what I mean? You always take it day by day. So assumptions in relationships. 67 and 69. It is very interesting how the human mind works. We have the need to justify everything, to explain and understand everything in order to feel safe. We have millions of questions that need answers, but there are so many things that the reasoning mind cannot explain. It is important if the answer is correct. It is not important if the answer is correct. Just the answer itself makes us feel safe. This is why we make assumptions. We make assumptions to fulfill our need to know and to replace the need to communicate. We have agreed that it is not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. We assume that others think the way we think, feel the way we feel, judge the way we judge, and abuse the way we abuse. This is the big assumption that humans make, and this is why we have a fear of being ourselves around others. Because we think everyone else will judge us, victimize us, abuse us, and blame us as we do ourselves. So even before others have a chance to reject us, we have already rejected ourselves. This is the way the human mind works. So, in assumptions, in relationships, I've expressed before that, to my female followers, you can't love anybody out their pain. And what that mean by that is like, a lot of girls are going into relationships and, they say, I could change this man, or, I could save this man. I could love him, to the point where he ain't got to feel this type of way. And in turn, when females find that, that cycle is not working out for them, the dialogue of my king turns into these niggas ain't shit. So with that being said, it's like you can't love anybody out their pain, and it attributes to self-accountability. They have to be willing to make the change. They have to be willing to say, you know what, I don't want to feel, this anymore. I want to do something different. But always understand that our fathers and their fathers didn't teach us how to deal with, turmoil, with sorrow, with grief. And we are the products of that. And how we decide to, combat these emotions or, in our habits, or reflected in our habits, or reflected in our lifestyle. And it's admirable that, you want to, love somebody out their pain, that you want to save them. But do yourself a favor and love yourself as well as he needs to love himself. And this next passage attributes it, talks about that. Then you make assumption, and one of the assumption is, my love will change this person. But this is not true. Your love will not change anybody. If others change, it's because they want to change, not because you change them. We don't need to justify love. It is there or not there. Real love is accepting other people the way they are without trying to change them. If we try to change them, this means we don't really like them. The way to keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. Have the courage to ask questions until you are clear as you can be. And even then, do not assume you know all there is to know about a given situation. Once you hear the answer, you will not have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. The day you stop making assumptions, you will communicate cleanly and clearly, free of emotional poison. Without making assumptions, your word becomes impeccable. But understanding its importance is not enough. Information or an idea is merely the seed in your mind. What will really make the difference is action. Taking the action over and over again strengthens your will, nurtures the seed, and establishes a solid foundation for the new habit to grow. So, the solution to assumptions is to always ask questions. Ask questions until you become clear. All right, guys, and last but not least, the fourth agreement. All right, here we go. The fourth agreement, always do your best. Under any circumstance, always do your best, no more and no less. But keep in mind that your best is never going to be the same from one moment to the next. Your best will also change over time. It doesn't matter if you're sick or tired. If you always do your best, there's no way you can judge yourself. If you do not judge yourself, there is no way you are going to suffer from guilt, blame, and self-punishment. So, your best is, what's that word? Fluctuating. Your best fluctuates depending on your state of being. If you're in a negative state of being, do your best to get out of it. If you're in a positive state of being, do your best to stay in it. If you wake up in the morning, your best is different than when you're about to fall asleep at night. Your best is always fluctuating, but the thing is to always do your best. In any of these moments, always do your best. That goes back to your first time is not your 50th time, and your 50th time is not your 150th time. Always keep it going. You'll get better. All right. So it's a story in here. It says there was a man who wanted to transcend his suffering, so he went to a Buddhist temple to find a master to help him. He went to the master and asked, "Master, if I meditate 4 hours a day, how long will it take me to transcend?" The master looked at him and said, "If you meditate 4 hours a day, perhaps you will transcend in 10 years. Thinking he could do better, the man said, "Oh, master, what if I meditated 8 hours a day? How long will it take me to transcend?" The master looked at him and said, "If you meditate 8 hours a day, perhaps you will transcend in 20 years. But why will it take me longer if I meditate more?" the man asked. The master replied, "You are not here to sacrifice your joy or your life. You are here to live, to be happy, and to love. If you can do your best in 2 hours of meditation, but spend 8 hours instead, you will only grow tired, miss the point, and you won't enjoy life. Do your best, and perhaps you will learn that no matter how long you meditate, you can live, love, and be happy." When you always do your best, you take action. Doing your best is taking the action because you love it, not because you're expecting a reward. Most people do exactly the opposite. They only take action when they expect a reward, and they don't enjoy the action. And that's the reason why they don't do the best. When you do your best, you learn to accept yourself, but you have to be aware and learn from your mistakes. Learning from your mistakes means you practice. Look honestly at the results and keep practicing. This increases your awareness. So, action. Action is about living fully. Inaction is the way that we deny life. Expressing what you are is taking action. You can have many great ideas in your head, but what makes the difference is the action. Without action upon an idea, there will be no manifestation, no results, and no reward. So, you gotta always take your action. Always gotta take your action. There's a passage in here that says, in India, they perform a ritual called the puja. In this ritual, they take idols that represent God in many different forms and bathe them, feed them, and give their love to them. They even chant mantras to these idols. The idol itself is not important. What is important is the way they perform the ritual and the way they say, "I love you, God." God is life. God is life in action. The best way to say, "I love you, God," is to live your life doing your best. The best way to say, "Thank you, God," is by letting go of the past and living in the present moment, right here and now. When you don't do your best, you are denying yourself the right to be you. You don't need knowledge or great philosophical concepts. You don't need the acceptance of others. You express your own divinity by being alive and by loving yourself and others. The first 3 agreements will only work if you do your best. Don't expect that you will always be able to be impeccable with your word. Your routine habits are too strong and firmly rooted in your mind, but you can do your best. Don't expect you will never take anything personally. Just do your best. Don't expect that you will never make another assumption, but you can certainly do your best. By doing your best, the habits of misusing your word, taking things personally, and making assumptions will become weaker and less frequent with time. If you're doing your best, you will feel good about yourself even if you still make assumptions, still take things personally, and still are not impeccable with your word. Practice makes the master. By doing your best, you become a master. All right. Now, the 4 agreements are a summary of the mastery of transformation. One of the masteries of the Toltec, you transform hell into heaven. The dream of the planet is transformed into your personal dream of heaven. The warrior's goal. The warrior's goal is to transcend this world, to escape from this hell and never come back. As the Toltecs teach us, the reward is to transcend the human experience. Ooh. Papa. Nah, as the Toltecs teach us, the reward is to transcend the human experience of suffering to become the embodiment of God. That is the reward. So if you fall, do not judge. Do not give your judge the satisfaction of turning you into the victim. No, be tough with yourself. Stand up and make the agreement again. And to end, today is the beginning of a new dream. Always do your best. All right, guys. So remember, we went over the 4 agreements. The 4 agreements. The first agreement, be impeccable with your word. The second agreement, don't take anything personally. The third agreement, don't make assumptions. And the 4th agreement, always do your best. In time, you're not gonna get this right away, but you can always do your best. If you decide to uphold these values, to uphold these agreements, you know what? You'll see your life change before your eyes. And you'll have a heavenly experience. You'll attract abundance and attract like-minded people. And, it's like you deserve it. You deserve the best out here. We've been living for eons and eons doing the same thing over and over again. And now it's the time to, say enough is enough and we want to do something different. We don't got to be living in hell. We don't have to be subjected to, humiliation or embarrassment or pain. Though pain is a very wise teacher, pain is one of the best teachers there is, but you can alleviate a lot of pain, alleviate a lot of heartache, from yourself, having this 4 agreements. You could take this 4 agreements as a shield within life and, kind of build on top of that, spread, this message or spread a message of your own and change the life of somebody, gain insight and provide insight for somebody. And yeah, that is the end of this live. This is the end of the book, The 4 Agreements, a Toltec wisdom book by Don Miguel Ruiz, a personal guide to personal freedom, a practical guide to personal freedom. And I just, sending love, positivity, gaiety, and abundance out there. I pray and I hope everyone has a great week ahead. We got homecoming coming up. We got Halloween coming up. And, it's going to be, it's a lot of things happening right now. So, I always say, shame is of the lowest and guilt is of the lowest vibrational energies there is. So, I just hope everybody has a great time in this week coming up. To be safe, be mindful, take care of yourself, to make sure all your priorities are in check, stay focused, be steadfast, and always remember that you deserve the best and you are worth it. You know what? You're worth it, and don't let anybody tell you different. All right. I love y'all. Y'all take it easy. Peace.